Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Shea with Jim Wilson, the sports editor for the Telegram and Gazette. We're talking Central Mass Super Bowls. It's like deja vu.
And it's really,
we're talking
fired up all over again.
We're talking state semifinals as well. But for me, the Central Mass Super Bowls are number one. They're my favorite. And then you get into the state semis, and obviously playing at Gillette's a big thrill for the teams that make it there. But the Central Mass Super Bowls for me is what I love. And you and I talked about it last week. We had great games. We had some of them were rematches, some of them were first-time opponents. They all lived up to the expectations. It was a great Super Saturday in Central Mass.
Exactly. I mean, you have, like, Neshoba and Marlboro. I want to see them play every week. They were just, two evenly matched teams, went to overtime like you knew it would. You have games like the week before with St. John's and Doherty. It was a great game. It's great to have this. You're on a high right now because, like you said, Central, it's bragging rights in the neighborhood. Then you have the letdown with, like, okay, now you have Minnetonka Central or,
right.
West Springfield. It's a necessary evil to get to Gillette. That's when it just ramps up all over again, and you're playing for a state title where the Patriots play, and you want to win the whole thing. Right,
and you talked about it, you and I, before, but a couple years ago when Doherty was playing, and Wes Welker came out of the tunnel to watch, and a couple of the Patriots came out, and that's huge. I mean, obviously, just to play on the field that the Patriots play on is big, but then when some of the players are sneaking out and you're pointing over there, and everyone feels 10 feet tall.
Now a couple of those guys are playing with those NFL players.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Central Mass is legit now. So
it's crazy. Looking back at these Central Mass Super Bowls, St. John's and Shrewsbury, what we wanted, what we got. Credit to St. John's because they executed all three phases of the game really well. Their offense, defense, special teams. And again, we don't talk a ton about the offensive line at St. John's, but you and I do off camera. The offensive line deserves a ton of credit. We have not seen Steve Baccellia hurried, knockdown hit all season long. He can get back there. Quarterbacks have that internal clock. Sometimes it's a second and a half. Sometimes it's 2 seconds. It's 3 steps. He can get back there, open up his lunchbox, have a sandwich. He can have snacks. He can have dessert. He can have a 5-course meal because that's how well he's been protected this season.
He's like playing the Matrix where, like, the bullet time thing's going on. Everybody's going around him. He's like, okay, well, you're open. Okay, I got to give a couple steps on him. All right, I'll go to my check down receiver and get him there. He's fine. You never hear about him getting rushed, and that's the credit to the offensive line. So they've played some pretty good defenses this year.
Yeah, they have.
Not probably next week.
But yeah, they've played great defenses, and they've played teams that every week are game planning. How do we get to Baccellia? How can we put pressure on him? How can we make him throw early? How can we make him throw on the run? How can we make him uncomfortable back there? No one's been able to do it. And again, he's got great poise too, but it starts up front. That offensive line is awesome, and they have protected him. They've been the Secret Service. All year long, they've been the Secret Service protecting the president. And then, we talked about the receivers, and we always talk about the receivers. And Drew Gotch and Padoni Brunel is another one who has come on. He's a sophomore. He's come on as the season's got going, and he's been a bigger player for them each and every week since probably about 6 weeks ago. He's a big, tall, strapping kid for a kid who's just a sophomore, 6'2" kid, 190, 185. He's making big catches. He's a physical receiver, too, so he gives them another dimension. As if they needed another weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
They have one right now with Brunel.
Especially when Oliver went down with that injury. It was no secret what they're going to do. They rely on the offense more for the air, and that's what happened. And guys like like I said, Brunel come out. He caught a dime last week, and we have the video on telegram.com. Just a beautiful pass from Baccellia, catches in stride, scores a touchdown. They need that kind of weapon for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and Byers, one of the running backs, who was taking up some of the slack with Oliver's absence, and kind of lurking there in the distance if they do make it to Gillette, and certainly St. John's will be favored to get there. Don't be surprised if Peter Oliver is not healthy enough to go if they're at Gillette Stadium. And think about that. Think about getting a kid back that's 6'1", 210, runs a 4.38 40, Division I running back. You get him back.
Right.
It would be incredible.
St. John's knows a few doctors.
They've done. They certainly do. They have a few doctors who played there who do things. But again, that victory over Shrewsbury was a great win for them. They go on to play Springfield Central now. It's a team that they played early in the season. They whipped them for a half. They absolutely whipped them for the first half. Then they kind of took their foot off the gas. Springfield came back. Springfield Central came back. And made it a little closer game.
I'm all for rematches being, different. It's tough to beat a team twice in a year, all that rhetoric. But, this was one of those games, like you said, they're up 30 at the half. They really show what unless they have Mark Chmura suiting up for them next week. I don't know if West Springfield or Central has a chance really against St. John's.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now we move on to Division 4. Neshoba Marlboro. You and I talked about this going in, and it certainly bears saying again. we would love watching these teams play each and every week. The first time they played in the regular season went into overtime. They play again in the Central Mass Super Bowl. It goes into overtime again. And it's a 2-point conversion is the difference. Incredible game. A credit to both coaching staffs, a credit to both teams because they both play a similar brand of football where it's physical, it's hard-nosed, they're going to come right at you. They'll pull linemen, do a little of the wing tee, try to get some misdirection going. Both quarterbacks can throw. It's a, the offense is multiple. So there's a lot that goes into that offensively to be able to do all those different things. The kids handle it well. The coaches handle it well. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's one of those teams. The teams know each other well. There's not going to be secrets. It wasn't like Neshoba was going to all of a sudden come up with a bounce pass thing.
Right.
Try to, Alex Childs up the middle to win it. But ISO to Gillette.
ISO right to Gillette, which is a great call, by the way.
It was
great
perfect.
call.
What it is.
We're going ISO right to Gillette, and they pounded in. And if you look at that run, he ran through a tackle.
Yep.
He was hit at about the 4-yard line, and he ran through the tackle to get into the end zone for the 2-point conversion and to get to Gillette. If he's tackled there, they could be still playing right now.
And I would love it.
You never know. But again, what they've done with Kyle Hume, too, playing both ways, Breeze Hill playing both ways, those are two guys that impact the game a lot on both offense and defense. It's one thing to have guys that are playing both ways, but their strong suit is offense or the strong suit's defense, and they're good on the other side of the ball, but they may not be the impact players. Breeze Hill, Hume, they are impact players on both sides.
Sam Belinsky doing a great job with throwing the ball. I mean, something that Neshoba's not really known for doing over the years. They've picked up a really dangerous passing game in the last couple of years. I think he's a big key of it, getting the job done. So you can't stack the box and stop that offensive rush because they can just toss it over.
Go back to Hal Gill, the days when Hal Gill was the quarterback.
Throwing a big interception.
Where they're throwing the ball. D5, Nipmuc and Auburn. Nipmuc, again, just impressive. And, every week, people, because of, I think, where Nipmuc is, they're kind of on the fringe in between. They're in Central Mass, but they're on that Eastern Mass fringe. People think, well, are they for real? Are they for real? They are for real. I mean, they beat Northbridge twice this season. They beat Auburn. The Auburn coaches said that's a good football team. Physical. They've got good size. They move well. They got receivers, too. Drew Nelson, Cam Busby are two kids that are tall. Again, these are impact players on both sides of the ball. They're safeties, and they're going to get one of them or two of them are going to get picks in every game. And then as wide receivers, you put them up there. If you're Nick Clark, and Nick Clark loves throwing to those two guys, they go up and get the ball. They're physical. They're not afraid of contact. This is a really good football team, top to bottom.
Right, and their coach Sean Hill said it last week. They finally put together a complete game. We were talking last week, with Auburn coming up, they're dangerous. They have a good defense. Nipmuc really hadn't shown a lot in the last couple weeks. They've sort of scuffled against teams like Northbridge. They haven't dominated these teams, and when they did, there was they played a dual valley schedule. They kind of you wonder how tested they were, but they finally put it all together when it mattered. They just dominated from whistle to whistle against Auburn.
No, they were unbelievable. George Maurice, one of the running backs.
John Shalosky.
Yeah, tough. They run tough. You know what I mean? These kids, they run really tough. And that's the thing. Maurice is going to Bridgeton Academy next year. You're going to see him play college football somewhere, and he's going to be an impact player. And that's what you can't say enough about. And it's a mentality that comes down from Coach Hill to the rest of the team. We want to be physical. We want to be the type of team that runs through tackles. On defense, we want to hit you and knock you backwards. Clark was scrambling as a quarterback. They call him Happy Days because he looks, like he's out of the 1950s. He's got the baby face. He was scrambling, ran straight up the middle, and drilled an Auburn safety and knocked him back about 3 yards. I mean, when your quarterback's doing that, the whole team's getting up. But that's that attitude that permeates through the whole team. We're physical. We're going to fly to the football. We're going to hit you, whether it's on offense or defense.
There's something in the water in that road between them and Valley Tech.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because it's a similar mentality. And they have a bond. And all the kids talked about the bond that they have. This senior class especially, really close, really tight-knit. And team chemistry, it's, sometimes you have that debate, is it the chicken or the egg? If you win, everyone says they got great chemistry. When you're losing, people say, well, we're a fractured team. But I firmly believe in team chemistry. And when these kids are talking about how much they love each other and love playing for each other, you believe that bond is another big reason why they are so successful.
You just miss those pasta dinners on Thursday nights.
Those are great. Those are great. But just hanging out with each other. You know what I mean? Even like all summer long, and this was the case. When you're hanging out with your buddies in the summer before the season and you're all thinking league title, Super Bowl, but you just, whoever's driving around, there's always a football in the car. You're stopping in parking lots. You're stopping at the high school field just to throw and talk. It's that bonding time, and then getting the pizzas on Friday nights or Thursday nights and subs. It's it's awesome. But that camaraderie carries over.
Right.
Because if you care about the guy next to you, you're going to play hurt. You're going to play a little harder than you would than if it's, you know, one of those Yankees teams or the old Oakland A's where it's, you know, 11 guys and 11 cabs. It's a different thing. Now, West Springfield.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Buckle in, folks. Get comfortable.
So here's Nipmuc. 293 boys. So they're going to play the Western Mass representative, West Springfield, with 639 boys.
Who beat Longmeadow to get here.
Incredible. West Springfield, that would be in Division III if they played in Central Mass, and would not be the smallest team in Division III because they're bigger than Shepherd Hill. So they would be in Division III if they played here, are playing a Division V team, Nipmuc. It's not fair, not even close to fair. 293 boys versus 639, but it's what they have to do.
Do what you got to do to get to Gillette. That's the Western Mass mentality.
Shuffle the deck, as you said. They shuffle the deck in terms of what's our best road to Gillette.
I don't know how they do it. I want to see their magic trick for all the gnashing of teeth in Central Mass. Oh, you know, why is St. John's playing here? Why do we get moved here? They realigned. They appealed.
Right.
It's it's just a work in progress to get this thing done perfectly. Not even perfectly, but there's still some griping about where certain teams are in Central Mass.
Right.
I can't understand why Western Mass does what they do. How teams are sort of slotted in certain areas, and why this team ended up there. Like you said, Longmeadow could have easily won that game on Saturday.
Right.
But you know, Longmeadow, the team I used to watch, like, you know, Mario Johnson and Shrewsbury play.
Right.
Alex Roscoe is almost they're playing Division V. How is that?
Right.
How's the MI look at that and say, oh, that's fine?
And how do they play Division I in every other sport?
I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure there's a reason they give. It's my fault for not doing the research to look into it, how that has happened. Because I'm sure they gave some compelling arguments of why they have to have it this way.
Right. They're playing. West Springfield is playing Wachusett for the girls' Division I soccer state semis. They play Division I in every other sport, but then Division V.
You only put 11 on each side of the ball. I said that the same way.
You're right.
When Holy Name was doing their thing 10 years ago, and Pucko and all those guys and winning Super Bowls, everybody's saying how they do it with 20, 25 guys in the team.
Right.
They just find the right 11. So
and Coach Hill feels the same way, and this Nipmuc team feels the same way. They don't care. They're not into the numbers. They're not into anything else. We're going to line up and play, and we're going to represent Central Mass.
Trade some paint.
And we're going Gillette. So hats off to them. Division VI, St. Peter's and Littleton. Littleton wins this game 30-14. What we've talked about since the beginning of the season. Littleton was the favorite in this division.
Yeah.
They are everything you want in a football team. Their offensive line, all 5 guys returned from last year. So every guy on that offensive line came into this year with at least 1 year of starting experience. So you have at least 2-year starters on the offensive line. Some of them are 3-year starters. You have experience. So now they're making the line calls. You're not going to throw anything at them. You're not going to stunt defensively or shift or slant that they haven't seen before, and they can't communicate with each other. You know how crucial that is on the offensive line to have that communication. They have that.
Exactly. You know, like you said, Littleton, they had the target in their back all year. You know, I think a lot of people said, you know, whether it was schedule, are they tested? You know, I think we said it a couple weeks ago with St. Peter Marion playing. They played Doherty and things like that. They've earned the right to be there. Let's see what Littleton does against these guys. It was closer than a lot of people thought, and I think St. Peter Marion had a good showing. But in the end, Littleton just had way too many weapons.
No, second half, Littleton just pulled away, right, and that's a credit to that offensive
like we talk about every
line.
week, just getting hit every play, and it just wears you by a third, fourth quarter.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're not as quick to make that cut block, or you're not as quick to hit that linebacker on a pull. So I think they're just in Littleton right there.
Oh, trucks. Mitch Bowden. You look at the running backs. Mitch Bowden, Kevin Frisoli, Luke Elliott, Brad Clark. I mean,
they're like 5 guys that can handle in the backfield.
Pick your poison.
Right.
Pick your poison.
Rotate them in.
And you know you're not going to run against them. You look at their front 7 defensively, and you say, you're not moving the ball against those front 7 because they're that good. I mean, they're just...
You're hoping to make somebody miss and then just catch a seam and try to make a big play. You're not going to... You know, West Boylston was a team that they played the toughest.
Took them to overtime.
Double overtime.
Mike
Ross has to credit that staff for doing that job again. But not many people could pick up that blueprint and do the same thing.
No way. All right, so they get a bye to Gillette. Littleton does. Division 7, Blackstone Valley Tech and Leicester, BVT and the Archie Express. They win 21-14, and this is a story of toughness. This is a story of overcoming adversity. They've had all kinds of injuries all season long, starting with their quarterback, Reese Hendricks, who has a metal rod in his shoulder because he broke his collarbone in mid-October. 3 weeks later, he's playing in the Central Mass Super Bowl, and he's running the football. He's running, lowering his shoulder, running the football, throwing touchdown passes, and that was such a key touchdown pass. Last play of the first half. they get a touchdown pass with no time left.
Griffith's protested. They were a cyborg playing for him now. It's like, how do you beat that? How do you beat the freaking Terminator coming at you? With playing a quarterback with a metal rod. I heard a lot of people in Valley Tech were concerned. After Reese went down, like, what do we do? And we talked about it because they just, they picked up right where they left off. Not a problem. They finished perfect in the regular season. Having him come back, like you said, we talked earlier about that emotional lift you get from that kind of thing. That's huge. To watch the guy you thought was, DOA a couple years ago, turn his equipment in, cheer you on from a Letterman jacket on the sideline the rest of the year. He comes into the locker room and says, all right, boys, let's go. He's in the huddle next to you saying, let's, put the women and children in bed and go looking for dinner. He's ready for you.
And they did it, and, and they held Padini in check. And
That's huge. Not
over
many
the
people
last,
do that.
whatever, 6 weeks or 5 weeks of the season, no one's been able to hold him in check. Not since they played BVT earlier in the season. So a credit to that defense, too. And Matty Blood's the D coordinator there, another former Northbridge guy who won Super Bowls. They did a great job of keeping Kyle Padini in check.
A lot of onesies being bought from the Patriots Pro Shop in a couple weeks, I think.
So now you look at BVT and moving on in Division 7. And
Wacona.
They're going to get Wacona. Now, size-wise, this is not one of those ones that's way out of whack with the Western Mass. Actually,
no, but you look at the history of where Wacona's played.
Well, that's it, and that's the thing there. So, but Jim Archibald has said, to his credit, he's always wanted to play up. He's always wanted to play bigger teams and always play up. That's just the way he is.
Frustrated with the Cal for years, just the fact that you're locked in that schedule, and he's had that team. And who knows, maybe the last couple of years they had a team that could beat Littleton, because that's always been their roadblock in this game.
Right.
They've been in an alignment where they survive the Cal, they go perfect, and they have the mid-watch deal with Littleton, and that was that just that monster they couldn't beat.
Yeah.
And they finally realign. Littleton gets out, and they finally show them they have a team that can get this far.
Connor Palomero, Sam Nero, they got some good players over there at BVT. Division 8, Neshoba Tech opening some eyes as they beat Bartlett. We only have 10 seconds left for this one.
For Neshoba Tech.
Vinny Aramo, the quarterback, did a great job, and they captured the Super Bowl.
Exactly. They played. So not a lot of people knew a lot about them. I picked against them every week, and they proved me wrong. Good for them. Your Vikings, good luck. Vinny Ramos, legit. He's a great player. Let's see what they can do now.
All right. We're out of time. That's Jim Wilson. I'm Kevin Shea. More of the Frenzy Extra coming your way right after this.